So this morning we're going to talk about staging. This is one of my most favorite things to do when I am finished with my piece and I'm getting it ready for sale. Is each piece is super unique, and so each piece should have its own look. One of the things I learned in the very beginning, my very first piece, I had no idea what staging was. It was advertised online. It was a horrible picture. It was squished in between other project pieces. I mean, the worst. It sold the first weekend, but I don't think it had anything to do with my staging skills. It was probably the great price because I had no idea what I was doing. So I've come a long way since then, and as you can see behind me, I have my entire staging area that my wonderful husband built for me. It was his idea, and I love, love, love it. I get asked all the time where my store is, and that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted people to think that this was a storefront. And so we built it as a rustic storefront. Our style is very rustic. My husband woodworks, and so it just was very fitting for Born in a Barn to have a very rustic staging area. And it allows me to display all the items behind me. These are staging items, as well as I stage the piece itself. So it's one of my most favorite things now to do. Obviously, not everybody's gonna have the ability to have this awesome staging area as it's like I have. It's got hardwood floors. Those were something that we used from a different project. So all the wood you see behind me is all reclaimed wood. So there was very little out of pocket. However, it is time consuming, and if you don't woodwork, it might be challenging. So there are ways that you can stage your pieces to look fabulous when you're selling them, so that you attract the right buyer. You don't want to attract the buyer that's going to offer you half of what you're asking for. You want to attract the buyer that is going to offer you the best price, the price you're asking. And part of that is staging. A lot of people, you have to remember, when they're looking at furniture or they're looking at purchasing items, don't maybe have the entire vision. They can't picture it. I hear that a lot. So by staging it and making it look as though it's in a home, and how is it going to look with decorations on it, gives that potential buyer the idea that that's going to fit in my home. So one of the things I tell people often, because I get asked a lot by other people in my industry that are maybe just getting started, how do I sell my pieces so fast? Well, that's one of the things. Not just the piece itself might appeal to somebody, the quality of my workmanship. Of course, all those things factor in, but you have to appeal to a potential buyer and allow them to see that piece, vision it in their space. And so by staging it, that's exactly what you're doing. So a couple of things. Where do you get your staging items? Well, I get them all over. You can get them at thrift stores. You can get it at Hobby Lobby when they're having their awesome sales. I do not spend a lot of money on my staging items. I keep that extremely minimal. So you can go to Hobby Lobby at 80% off sometimes and get incredible deals. As a matter of fact, I had 3 bags full the other day, and I don't think I spent over $50. 3 bags full, you guys, and great stuff. I'm gonna show you a peek into my staging cabinet, and so you can just kind of take a quick look and see what I'm talking about. So key items to have for staging pieces: greenery. Definitely have some greenery. As you can see, I think right behind me, I have this wreath. I got it, great deal. Typically wreaths are pretty expensive. I think I got this 65% off at Hobby Lobby, so that's very appealing. The one behind me, that was at Joann's, again, on sale. Some of the items I have are homemade. Some of them are bought at all these places I'm mentioning. So you don't have to spend a lot of money, but you definitely want to draw attention to the piece and make it look cozy, make it look like somebody's gonna look at that and say, oh my God, I could totally have that in my home. So that is one of the ways that I sell so quickly, is I've learned over the years how to stage my pieces so they're appealing. So in the beginning, I had nothing. Then I went to using photo backdrops, and that was a suggestion of my brother, who owns a website company and takes lots of photos for clients and things, and he said the best thing you can do, cheap, is get a photo backdrop. It's gonna make a world of difference, and it did. it didn't look super fake. It looked way better. I would advise sticking with neutral tones. Don't go crazy. Whites, I had a brick background. I had 2 brick backgrounds actually, and I had people sometimes ask me, who did my brick wall? So that tells you in photos that it looks good. So you can go to Amazon and order these backdrops. They range in price from $50 to $100, just depending on the size. I recommend a 10 by 10 if you do dressers, because the largest dresser I think I've had was 76 inches, and you want space on either side to be able to crop your photo. You don't want to crop your piece out of the photo, so you want to make sure you have enough space on either side. So I would recommend, if you're doing a photo backdrop, 10 by 10. You don't need lighting right away. Obviously my workshop is in my garage. I get a lot of sunlight. You can do things like close the door, turn on the overhead lights, but the key is to have as best of lighting as you possibly can. So understandably speaking, if you're just getting started and this is a small business, you don't have a lot of money to put out. You don't have to, but you can still make it look great. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking as I'm talking, when I first started, I started grabbing things from inside my home and using those as the staging items on top of my pieces. I didn't have all of this that's going on in the background, and that's okay, you don't have to. I've stepped up my game, but that's taken me a few years. So to get started, get a photo backdrop. And then grab things from inside your house. Candles are great, candlesticks are great. Anything with greenery, even if it's a real plant, grab it. So the key to staging the piece is to make it look balanced. So you don't want to throw a bunch of stuff on it, and make it look all crazy. You just want things like, for instance, I have a dresser, so I'm going to put some picture frames. I'm going to put maybe 2. Each side I try to balance with 3 items and then something in the middle. So I would put some picture frames, and I'm going to show you guys a couple of pictures I'm going to tack on to this video so you can see what I'm talking about. A couple picture frames on one side with a candlestick, and on the other side I might use something like these decorative balls here, and something tall to balance out the candlestick on the other side. Let's see what I have. Okay, I have something here that I can show you guys in my staging cabinet, something like this. So you might put a candlestick on one side, and then you want to balance it out with something similar in height so that you want it to flow. So with that being said, anyway, I used to go in and grab stuff out of my house. So you can do that. That's free, right? I used to get people that would ask me if my staging items were for sale, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that's from inside my house. No. And I didn't really want to say that, but I would just say, oh no, those are my personal items, and you can make note of that in your sales ads as if you want. Now I sell my staging items. Whatever typically is on these pieces or behind them on the wall, for sale. So you know what, that's just something I've started to turn my business into. You don't have to do that, and you probably don't want to do that if you're grabbing personal items from your house. But anyway, staging is super important. Doesn't have to be super expensive. I am just having a time talking this afternoon, or this morning I should say, but it doesn't have to be super expensive, but have it look good. Doesn't it look great when you watch HGTV and they stage the home? So you've watched the whole show, right? So they've remodeled the house and now it's empty and it looks great, but then they stage it and it's like you can envision yourself, oh yeah, I want that house, right? So you want people to think the same thing with your furniture. You want them to think, I need that looks great. So I would say that the majority of my customers that come out, that's something that the feedback that they give me is, oh my God, I love how you stage your photos. So that in itself tells me I'm doing something right, keep doing it. And you know, if you guys need help or you have any questions or you have photos and you think, okay, I don't know if this looks good or not, feel free to send them to me and ask. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, so you know, it's partly a personal choice when you look at the piece, what staging items you choose to go on it, but then part of it is also, let me ask somebody else's opinion. So you have to be happy with the way it looks. What I might give you, you can take that and switch some things around or add some things. totally up to you, but definitely don't be afraid to play with the staging, okay? So I hope that was helpful. I'm gonna show you guys my cabinet now that has some of my staging items that I've had over the years. I've just grown my collection, and we'll go from there. Okay, thanks you guys. Okay, are you ready? Because now we're gonna get a peek into my cabinet of goodies. So okay, take a look. So here is my staging cabinet, and I've got everything squished in there. Well, squished really isn't the word. It's strategically organized. But just so you can see, I've got lots of greenery. I'm starting to get some fall stuff in there. I obviously have my nice bright spring flowers, little pops of color. So this just gives you an idea, maybe a little inspiration when you're going shopping of things to buy. So candle holders, flowers, greenery. I have a lot of galvanized tin because I love that look. Lanterns, all those things are great. So just wanted to give you a preview into my little cabinet here of goodies. Guys, so I'm gonna actually show you how to stage one of the pieces. So I've got all my stuff that in my cabinet, and I'm looking at my dresser and I'm thinking what's gonna look best on this dresser to appeal to my buyer. So let's go through and I'll show you firsthand the placement of my items. So here we go. So first of all, I'm gonna put on my center item. I typically start in the center and then build around it. So again, doesn't have to be a huge item for the center. What I've picked here is a set of glass bottles in this, and I'll give you guys a close-up after it's done, but it's in a wire, like a chicken wire type basket, really cute. So then I'm gonna pick my corners, and what I'm trying to do with this piece here is I'm trying to coordinate with not only my wood top, but the handles that I have on this piece are a coppery, rustic color. And so I'm gonna mix some of my metals, sticking with the darker colors like this piece here, right? This is kind of like that darker rusticy. And then I've got this galvanized tin. You can mix the metal colors. It doesn't have to all be silvers or galvanized tins or bronze or whatever. You can mix them up and make them look good. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna place this guy here, put my flowers there. And then I need a tall item to go over on that side because I'm gonna have a tall item on my other side. They don't have to be the exact same in height, but just something similar. So I put my little windmill there. Then on the other side, I'm gonna go with a lantern, and we're sticking with that same color combination, that copper, the darker bronze color. And then I've got a set of these decorative, cool farmhouse cotton balls, and we're gonna go ahead and put those up there. Now this is a set of 3, but I count this as one general item because I mentioned in my video earlier that you do 3 on each side. So this is kind of a 1, even though they're 3, because it would look weird if you just put one of those up there. So set that there. And those are great because they just actually sit right on and they don't move, and they're awesome for taking photos. And then I'm gonna put my last item on, and that's my little and sign, and that is in the galvanized metal. So as you can see, I've got the different metals mixed. I've got a balance here because I've got 3 items here, 3 items over there, and my centerpiece. Now let me just show you guys something to switch out. If you stand back, you don't like it. Well, honestly, I'm not liking my centerpiece, so I'm gonna change that up real quick. So I'm gonna take out this. It's just not doing anything for me. And I'm gonna put that on. And wow, that ties it together so much better. And I really like the way that that looks. So I'm gonna show you guys the end result. Okay, you guys, so here's the finished piece. If you didn't notice, I did switch out one of the items. I replaced the tall windmill. I feel like when I stepped back and looked at it, it just was too tall and it didn't have the flow I was talking about. So I replaced it with a slightly less tall piece, and I think it looks really well. Just remember when you're staging, not everything has to be, front and center and staring right at the camera. If you look at my pieces, I've got the balls and the and sign, and everything is kind of turned and angled. Feel free to do that. Get the key items that you want and then tweak them. So there you go.